A regular meeting of the City Council is held in Council Chamber on Thursday, July 15, 2010 at 7 p.m. for the purpose of transacting any and all business. Notice of this meeting was posted on July 8, 2010 at 6:19 p.m. This meeting is being taped and is live on SATV. All councilors are present. I, myself, Councilor McCarthy, is presiding. Councilor Fury moved to dispense with the reading of the record of the previous meeting. All in favor, all opposed. Now I ask that everyone please rise and join Councilor Sargent with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilor Pinto.
Thank you, Mr. President. Point of personal privilege, please.
Point of personal privilege.
Yes. As many of us know, this past week we lost what most people would call an icon, great man, Joseph Pep Canaccio. I just want to say a few words about the man. We had a former colleague who once tagged him the ambassador of Salem, and justly so. Anybody that knew Pep, came in contact with Pep, realized what type of man he was. He stood for Salem. He's everything that Salem was. He was all about Salem. So I just wanted to just say a couple of words. I could stay here all night and talk about Pep Canaccio, but I just want to say that he was a great man. He has a great family, and we're very proud to have been in Salem for his entire life. Thank you, Mr. President. If we could have a moment of silence, Mr. President, I appreciate it.
Before we do that, if I could just add.
Absolutely.
I too would be Councilor Pinto and myself over the last few years as Pep's health has been deteriorating. I've given him a ride home on numerous occasions as he was down at the Hawthorne or wherever event he was at. He was a mainstay at all events. And I was at an event this afternoon, the ribbon cutting for the Harbor Walk, and lo and behold, I went to talk and out of my pocket popped the memory card for Pep. Would have been fitting because if he was still here, he would have been there, and I know we would have been talking how great it was. So I'd ask everyone to please rise for a moment for Pep.
Thank you.
Mr. President, if I could please, just a
Councilor
moment.
Sargent, personal privilege?
For Pep also, and a lot's been said about Pep, and I could be here forever also, as Councilor Pinto said, but the world needs its great men, but they need a lot of good men too, and Pep was one of those good men, and young men need 10 good men in their life, and Pep probably set a record for how many young men that he was one of those 10 men that they had in their life. And Pep, he wasn't always truthful, because if you did bad, he'd tell you did fair. If you did fair, he'd tell you did good. If you did good, he'd tell you did real good. And he wasn't always being truthful with you, but he was always encouraging you. And sometimes you knew that, but it helped you to do better. It helped a lot of young men to do better, because he would tell you could do better. And he's not the kind of guy that's known worldwide. But imagine if every city and town, around the world had one man like Pep Canaccio, how much better the world would be. And in a way, that would take a good man and make him a great man. Thank you.
Executive session. Councilor Lovely, would you read that?
Is it number 2?
Number 1. It's withdrawn.
Take out of order.
Move to take out of order under communications from city officials.
Correct.
The request of Solicitor Elizabeth Bernard to hold an executive session to discuss a suit filed by, is that the one? Thought we were-
Yep, the whole thing. Actually, the first one's going to be, we have
It's
to
going to
read.
be, okay, thank you, I thought so. To discuss a suit filed against the city by Trickett Realty following the city council's revocation of Trickett's inflammables license for the automobile service station at 111 North Street. During the executive session, City Solicitor Elizabeth Renard will discuss the city's strategy with respect to this litigation. Discussing such strategy may have a detrimental effect on the litigation position of the city if this discussion takes place in open session. We're moving to reschedule it?
It's been rescheduled.
So, am I on the wrong page? Okay. no. This executive session has been rescheduled. Can I say why? There was Mr. President, sorry.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
I understand that the matter was before the Superior Court. It was supposed to be scheduled before the Superior Court today for summary judgment motions, and it was continued because the judge's father actually passed away, and it will take place, that session will take place 2 weeks from today. So this matter will be continued to a future date. Right?
Thank you. If you could read number 2 as well, please.
Certainly. Number 2, also a lawsuit filed against the city related to the so-called Beatty site, a used oil processing facility where the city disposed of waste oil. Pursuant to federal law, any party that had waste oil dumped at the site is responsible for paying its share of the cleanup costs. During the executive session, Assistant City Solicitor Gerald Paracella will discuss the city's liability and his proposed settlement of this suit. Attorney Paracella will discuss strategy with respect to this litigation, and discussing such strategy may have a detrimental effect on the litigation position of the city if this discussion takes place in open session. Want me to do the next one?
No, it needs to be voted on because you're taking out of order.
Okay. So we're doing the executives, the one on the next page.
You vote to take it out of order.
And it's right here, right?
You need a motion to take it out of order.
Okay.
So we'll vote on that.
Okay. So what do I,
So voted?
so voted?
So voted. All's in favor? Council Lovely.
I move that the City Council adjourn to the City Council anteroom to hold the executive session, and at the end of the executive session, the regular meeting will continue by roll call vote.
Madam City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Counselor Fury?
Yes.
Counselor Lovely?
Yes.
Counselor O'Keefe?
Yes.
Counselor Pelletier?
Yes.
Counselor Pinto?
Yes.
Counselor Prevey?
Yes.
Counselor Ronan?
Yes.
Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
Counselor Sargent?
Yes.
Counselor Sosnowski?
Yes.
And Counselor McCarthy?
Yes. On the matter to adjourn to the City Council anteroom to hold an executive session, 11 members voting, 11 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The matter carries. Stand adjourned. Hearings, none. The
Appointments and reappointments?
appointments and reappointments.
To the mayor's appointment of Ronald Malionic to serve as the City of Salem's Assistant Director of Public Services with a term to expire on January 31st, 2012.
Move for suspension of the rules, Mr. President.
Council O'Keefe. Council O'Keefe moves for suspension of the rules. All's in favor, all's opposed. Council O'Keefe.
I move for confirmation by roll call vote of Ronald Malionic to serve as the City of Salem Assistant Director of Public Services.
Under discussion? Any discussion?
Well, I think a lot of people get up and say something great about his work for the ward councils especially. I was with him this morning on some issues in my particular ward with the Director of Public Services. He's always there, but he also has one point which I, and Mr. Renard mentioned it to me today, that he always advises Mr. Renard of our conversations with him, so Mr. Renard knows exactly what's going on in the city in case someone asks him about something and he doesn't know what it's about. So Mr. Malionic coordinates with all of us as ward councilors and councilors at large too, and he's a great asset. And years and years ago, his family lived on Briggs Street when he was a little boy in Ward 2, Precinct 1 at that time. It's not that way now, but he's a long-time Salem family. Came originally from Ward 1. But a great appointment from the mayor.
Council Pelletier.
Yes, thank you. This is a good appointment. I mean, it's going to help Mr. Renard. The position is already existing. You got to understand what Mr. Malionic does. He goes over and above. He's on salary. He's getting a small bump in pay. But when water breaks or Halloween or the fireworks, he's there. He's there with the park department guys. And I don't bug him too much, but when I call him, things get done when Dick's not around. But I think I would expect my colleagues to appoint him. Thank you.
Councilor Sosnowski, then Councilor Fury, then Councilor Prevey.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support of this position move. I got to tell you one quick story here because I'm sure a lot of people have it. I called up Ron for a particular issue regarding a constituent complaint, and he was in Florida. And yet, rather than shut the phone off and enjoy his vacation, he actually answered the phone for me, all right, and actually answered the situation. That's the kind of dedicated person he is. And I can't speak highly enough for the man. And I am going to support this move. And just, it was a good thing, and I appreciate that. Normally, when you go away on a vacation, you shut everything down, you try to remain out of touch. He did not do that. Thank you.
Councilor Fury.
Yes, please. This is a great appointment of Mr. Malionic as the Assistant Director of Public Services. He'll make a vital partnership with Mr. Renard because it's a great partnership of philosophies and ideas and experiences, and I think it's going to be a wonderful win-win situation for the city of Salem. I had the chance to take a tour of the cemetery, Green Lawn Cemetery, with Mr. Malionic last year, and it was a nice tour, a beautiful fall day, and he was giving a tour. He wears Salem on his sleeve. He just loves Salem. He breathes Salem. And my son Johnny works for Mr. Malionic, my young son Johnny, during the summertime, and he just worships Mr. Malionic. He's a good role model, hard worker. It's a great job for my son. It's like Huckleberry friend Tom Sawyer working in the cemetery department there. And Ron is always there. He's just a good, passionate leader. It'll be a great partnership with Mr. Renard and Mr. Malionic. And I think it's a win-win appointment by the mayor. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilor Prevey.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd ask for suspension of the rules. I'd like to ask Mr. Renard a couple questions about this proposal.
Councilor Prevey's request for suspension of the rules. All those in favor, got three hands. Mr. Hack, could you? Mr. Renard.
Thank you. The position, the letter I have here from you, well, it was actually submitted to the mayor's office, and then a copy was given to us. The position hasn't been filled from 2006. Can you talk about why it hasn't and why we're here in terms of with the recommendation to fill the position with Mr. Malionic?
Well, I think early on, I tried to assume most of all the responsibilities within just the directors. I absorbed all of the assistant directors, and as my responsibilities have grown over the last couple of years, I'm finding it very difficult to be able to attend a lot of these meetings. My schedule is booked solid, and I really need the assistance. And when I find somebody like Mr. Malionic that is as dedicated and loyal to this city and myself, this is the type of person that I would like to have as my assistant.
Mr. Malionic is the general foreman right now?
That is correct.
Okay. Is with him taking on this new position, does that open up another position to be filled, or is that eliminating it?
That will be eliminating that particular general foreman's job, and we will be refilling the assistant director's job, yes, Councilor.
Yeah. Okay, all right. No, I just had some questions as to the history behind it, because I never, until I got this, I mean, obviously we've never dealt with an assistant director of public services, so, and then when I looked in the ordinance book, I did see, in fact, obviously, it's there, but, you know, the position hadn't been filled for a number of years.
It's just that I'm also increasing a lot of his responsibilities administratively. Pretty much Ron has been running a lot of my crews. As I'm sure you're all familiar with, you all are familiar with Ron, but I am in need of at some point, administrative assistance that he can handle. If I can't make certain meetings, that he'll also be able to attend and represent me. So, and he does share all of my philosophies So I'm very, very happy to have him on
Okay.
board.
So anything that falls under public services, and if you're unavailable, then we can certainly.
That will be
adjourn.
correct, Counselor.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President.
Councilor O'Keefe.
This morning, members of the council, Mr. President, this morning when I was in the truck with Mr. Renard, he advised me, and I thought it was interesting, Ron is not paid overtime
No
for
overtime.
this service. That he comes in early in the morning or whatever. He's part of the staff now. And Mr. Renard doesn't get paid overtime. So Mr. Malionic really is, we're getting a tremendous asset, and we're not paying him.
Councilor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support of Mr. Malionic becoming the Assistant Director of Public Services. I was at the Harbor Walk with you and Councilor Lovely and Councilor Fury. He was there. I went to the farmer's market. He was there. He's here tonight. I mean, he's doing all the responsibilities. He should be compensated for it. And when you have someone good like Mr. Renard and Mr. Malionic, you want to keep them in the city. And I wholeheartedly support this this promotion for Mr. Malionic. Thank you.
Councilor Pelletier.
Yeah, just briefly, in regards to Councilor Prevy's inquiry, when this administration first came in, we did a reduction of staff. We eliminated some jobs we left open. There's always been an assistant director of public services for as long back as I can remember, but it just never was filled because of the financial times. But I know what Rick goes through on a daily basis, and he needs the help. So I would ask my colleagues to make this unanimous.
Well, good question, Mr. President.
Any further discussion?
Roll call vote.
I could speak on the topic. I would have nothing but good things to say about Mr. Malionic, but we'll just move the vote. Madam City Clerk, if you call the roll, please.
Councilor Fury?
Yes.
Councilor Lovely?
Yes.
Councilor O'Keefe?
Yes.
Councilor Pelletier?
Yes.
Councilor Pinto?
Yes.
Councilor Prevey?
Yes.
Councilor Ronan?
Yes.
Councilor Ryan?
Yes.
Councilor Sargent?
Yes.
Councilor Sosnowski?
Yes.
Councilor McCarthy?
Yes. On the appointment of Ronald Malionic as Assistant Director of Public Services, 11 members voting, 11 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The matter carries. Councilor
President.
O'Keefe.
I move that suspension of the rules to allow Mr.
Councilor
Malionic
O'Keefe.
to address the council.
Councilor O'Keefe moves suspension of rules to allow Mr. Malionic to address the council. Seeing no objection, Mr. Malionic.
First of all, I just want to say thank you very much, and I didn't get tanned up for nothing. This is a little bit of embarrassment, but also because I was out with the Harbor Walk with everybody else. But I just thank you for your kind words. It's much appreciated. Very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Further appointments and reappointments.
Mayor's appointment and reappointment of the following to serve as constables with the following terms to expire. Donald Blakely, term to expire June 29, 2011. Ronald Ledwell, term to expire June 10, 2011.
Councilor Lovely.
Move they be received and placed on file.
On Councilor Lovely's recommendation that these matters be removed and received and placed on file, all is in favor, all is opposed. Councilor Lovely.
Mr. President, I'd like to move that we take out of order communication from the mayor received after the deadline of Tuesday noon.
On Councilor Lovely's recommendation that we take out of order communications to the mayor received at deadline noon on Tuesday. All is in favor, all is opposed. Councilor Keefe, if you would, please.
Sure. House McCarthy, Ward 1.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Suspension of the rules.
I move for suspension of the rules.
Move for suspension of the rules. All in favor? Opposed? So voted. Ms. McCarthy.
Cheryl, do you want to read this, or do I read this?
In order to authorize the mayor to execute any and all documents for the purchase of a parcel of land on Assessor's Map 41 from Dominion Energy of Salem Harbor LLC, not to exceed $1,700,000, and to accept the grant of easement over a portion of land owned by Dominion Energy Salem Harbor LLC.
Ms. McCarthy, remarks on the motion as presented by Council City Clerk.
I would move for adoption under roll call vote.
Move for adoption, roll call vote. Remarks?
Under discussion? In front of us, we have an order that was, the communication from the mayor that was received after the deadline. I apologize for that. I mean, this afternoon when I went through my packet, it was a big assumption that was in there. We all talked about it. We all knew it was supposed to be in there, but for some reason or other, it didn't get in there, so it came in as a late file. Every intent was to have it in on time. That being said, in front of us is the purchase of a parcel of land that we've been talking about as a city for probably as long as you've been on the council, Councilor O'Keefe.
Longer.
This goes back to a long time. This has been incorporated into 2 successive harbor plans. This is a key piece of property into the revitalization of the waterfront, of which I'm happy to say that Ward 1 is a big part of. Adopting this will allow us to enter an agreement with Dominion to purchase the land, of which we've been talking about doing for a long time. We, as a city, have the money set aside through various bonds that have been we've obtained over the last few years with regard to directly for the sole purpose of the purchase of this parcel. It's basically, we sign the P&S, we send the paperwork over to the state has the money allocated for this purchase, and it gets done. Just for clarification, if people have gone through this, they talk about an easement way back when we were going through the harbor implementation plan before I was elected. I attended a bunch of meetings with regard to the harbor plan. The existing fence on the Dominion property, everyone assumed that was the property line, but when you're in all actuality, there is outside of the fence towards the Blaney Street side, there is some property that's actually owned by Dominion. That's what we talk when we in this document we talk about the easement. That easement is so on all the renditions of all of the terminal stations, all the parking lot spaces, the 100 and some odd spaces that are going to be created down there for the ferry and everything else that's going to go on down there. Those parking spaces were drawn on that parcel, assuming that that was part of the property. And doing the research, it actually isn't, so there's going to be some language in the final purchase and sale that would allow us to create the parking spots and still have a little buffer between the spots and the fence. This is a major initiative for the city. It's a major step forward. The last year when we applied for the Tiger grants from the government, we missed out. One of the biggest drawbacks that we as a city heard was the fact that we did not own the parcel. This gives us Dominion has finally stepped up to the plate and is going to allow for the sale. Gone back and forth for years about lease agreements, long-term lease, short-term lease. They finally agreed to a purchase. The evaluation a few years ago was $1.65 million. The latest evaluation of that piece of property is $1.9 million. So we're paying below evaluation. Dominion has agreed. We're just working out the final details, which is in front of us we have a draft P&S. The final legalities we've worked out, as it's stated, it's not to exceed 1.7. I would encourage all my colleagues to support this. Thank you.
Any other member of the City Council wish to speak? Council Pelletier, Ward 3.
Yes, thank you. Going back, when this administration first came in, we got the ferry. And we need a place to put it. Dominion stepped up for $1, I think, a year. I think this is wonderful, and we should pass this tonight for 2 reasons. I was also down at the Harbor Walk today, and Lieutenant Governor Tim Murray was there. And the mayor and him were chuckling when they got up to the microphones about another $3 million languishing around in the Seaport Council where this money originated, as well as for the Harbor Walk. And Lieutenant Murray he's the head of the Seaport Council, as well as Representative John Keenan being on the tourism committee. This is a great opportunity for Salem right now. And if we pass this tonight, our planning board can get started writing grants immediately to get more funding to maybe bring this to fruition sooner than we hope. And so I expect all my councilors will vote yay on this tonight and make it unanimous, and you can all feel proud down the road when the big ships come in.
Councilor Michael Sosnowski, Ward 2.
Thank you, Mr. President. The only question I have is I'd like to get a clarification. Page 3, paragraph 10B. seems to be stricken in its entirety, the paragraph. Can somebody explain what's going on? And I'd move suspension of the rules to allow either Beth or the mayor to explain.
Councilor Sosnowski moves for suspension of the rules to allow Mayor Kimberly Driscoll to address that issue.
Thank you.
Mayor Driscoll?
Thank you, Councilor. The draft of the purchase and sale agreement before you was just the first draft that we've received from Dominion. We're going back and forth. They incorrectly included what's known as a right of reversion, meaning if we didn't use the property as a marine terminal ferry, the use that we proposed on the Salem Wharf, they wanted to have the right to revert it back. It's clearly an error. It hasn't been part of the discussions we've had. We have talked about, I think I've sent you previously the key terms, obviously the purchase price of $1.7 million, a prohibition on residential development. That was something Dominion was very clear about. They don't want to see any residential use on the property. There's an AUL on the property that limits residential use anyways. It's not anything we're proposing as part of the Salem Wharf plan. So we said we don't have a problem with a prohibition on residential use. We would never have a right of reverter. And so that's stricken from there because we're going back and forth with their counsel just to make sure that's clear. We're not anticipating that that's a problem whatsoever. It's just we're in the early drafts. They've got counsel in Virginia, and it's taking a little bit longer to get final drafts worked out. So that's why this was actually my copy, and it was actually like a lot more marked up when I first got it to reflect the fact that was a big no way. But they're aware of that, and it was just, I think, miscommunication between their counsel preparing this and the conversations we had with the real estate people locally. So,
Yes. Councilor Sosnowski.
Thank you, Mr. President. So just lines through here make that officially a non-paragraph?
That's exactly right. There will be a paragraph that replaces it that has the residential prohibition. I think we've done in the past, Councilor Lovely, you may recall, when we were doing these back and forth, the key terms are not going to change. You know, there may be obviously the residential prohibition as I've described it. We've always said, look, we'll get the council a final copy of the P&S agreement, so you'll have it, the actual final terms. I don't suspect that much will change. We're going, doing our due diligence and going through just a review of everything right now. That will not be in it, rest assured.
Thank you, Mayor. Any other questions, Councilor? Who had your hand up first? Councilor Pinto.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your Honor, do we have anything to tell us exactly the grant? I thought there was a $1.2 million grant, and there was another grant, or there was state money that came to 1.7. So, clarification, could you just kind of explain?
We actually have a $2.3 million grant that we received from the state specifically for Blaney Street. Part of that was for acquisition, the $1.7 million amount, and the remainder was to be used for the engineering work. As you may know, this site is fully permitted, ready to go. We've spent a lot of time with the Army Corps of Engineers, DEP, and EPA getting the schematic that you've seen, the Salem Wharf, the extended pier, to get that through the permitting stage. That cost us around $600,000 in terms of engineering work. Remember we had a dive survey out there. You may recall we've had all these stages along the way to get to the final point where we had the permitting. So we actually have a $2.3 million grant agreement from the state to offset both of those costs, the 1.7 acquisition and roughly $600,000 for engineering and soft costs associated with the planning, design, and engineering.
So it's just one grant?
It's one state grant, correct, from the Seaport Council.
Thank you.
But for those
Any other question, Councilor Pelletier, Ward 3?
I'd like the mayor to just briefly tell us about what we might possibly get for grants in the coming
we have a couple of irons in the fire, so to speak. You may recall we did apply for the first round of federal Tiger grants. Those were the grants that went out for public transportation nationwide. We didn't make the cut in that grant. They only funded 3 things in Massachusetts, and all of them were rail. There's a second round of Tiger funding application process that's starting up this fall. We're eyeing that. We're taking a hard look at it. The Tiger grant's like a 25-page grant. It is a tremendous amount of time and effort, and it looks like the second round, cruise terminals may not be a preferred status, but that's one that we have on our list of things that we're pursuing. There's a state ferry discretionary grant. A discretionary grant, it's federal dollars, but it goes through the state only for ferry services. We actually feel very strongly about that and feel like we have a very strong chance of getting it. It's a $20 million anticipated full project, soup to nuts. That's the dredging, the pier, and the landside improvements. I think it's unlikely we're going to land a $20 million grant, so we're really looking at trying to phase this. Initially, we were thinking we want to do get the pier work done as soon as we can, because that would allow us to have that multimodal facility. Dredging is all ready to go, as I said, permitting and moving forward, and maybe the upland stuff would go last.
we're thinking a little bit harder about that now as we're being approached by cruise industries and having discussions. We had a nice chat with a representative from Holland America, an agent for them, about cruise possibilities. Many of you know we have a cruise there this Saturday and 2 more scheduled the remainder of the summer. And it might be more worthwhile as we're having those dialogues to think about doing the upland first and the pier second. So we do have a port advisory committee. Many of you may know the representatives from Salem that are on there. And we're going to be reconvening that group and really trying to narrow in and pinpoint what's the area we want to focus on. And then obviously the other piece of that are what grant dollars are available. If there's a grant for dredging, you go after dredging. If there's a grant for upland improvements, you do that. If there's a grant for a pier, we go after that. But there are a host of opportunities. The Seaport Council will be meeting again this fall. We'd like to have a request in for that meeting as well. And just owning it means so much. It's the first question we get asked whenever we submit a grant. What's the status of the ownership? Nobody wants to invest in a grant that they're not really sure what's happening. So that's why it's really critical for us to, close the deal here.
Any other? One more question?
Again, Council Pelletier.
Can you speak a little on the commercial side of this pier for commercial fishermen?
Well, we think there's some areas on the interior, inner baseland for a protected harbor, and Mike certainly would know more about this and can speak to some of the assets, some which we'd love to be able to use. Some of the obstacles to doing that are some of the permitting hurdles around that inner tidal basin area. So there's certainly opportunities to do that. Right now, the new pier is fully permitted, about sort of 20 feet in from that, all the upland stuff. We don't have that inner tidal area permitted yet because it's a much harder environmental standard. We're still hopeful. We're going to, again, keep working on that initiative. But there's all kinds of opportunities for commercial development. It's a deep water port. It's a designated port area, DPA. We know already that Accelerate uses it for their crew vessel. We see other opportunities to really partner between the ferry and other uses right away if we can. So,
Any other questions of the mayor? Council Fury.
Just a comment there. This is a great opportunity for the city of Salem. I'm glad you're right on top of it, Mayor, and I appreciate that. We all appreciate that very much there. A great opportunity for the city of Salem to reinvent itself. If you look behind Councilor O'Keefe, President O'Keefe, to the furthest point east on the seal, our flag, our history goes way back in maritime history. And it was the oldest frontier of the city of Salem. Now, because of your leadership and the city council hopefully passing it tonight, it will be the new frontier of Salem.
So true.
Ferry boats, cruise boats, and other ships coming into Salem. And Salem will not be just known as the witchcraft city. It will be the maritime city and other opportunities. And this is just the tip of the iceberg for the history of Salem to reinvent itself into a new frontier. Thank you, Mayor.
thank you. We did have an economic analysis conducted for the Salem Wharf concept that we have, the multimodal port, and it conservatively estimated $62 million in economic impact to Salem and the North Shore region by building out that Salem Wharf, having cruise ships there. So it just dovetails so nicely with our existing tourism and hospitality industry and really allows us to use that harbor. I said earlier today that we don't have great highway access. Many of you know that. We don't have a 128. The harbor is our highway access, so we need to take advantage of the strengths that we do have, and this certainly is one.
Council Preview, Ward 6.
Thank you, Mr. President, through you. Mayor, so this is 100% grant funded. It's not going to cost the city anything.
That's correct.
Okay. So later on down the road, it's not going to be an issue where the state's going to say that the city's responsible for funding a portion of something?
Well, certainly, future grants could have some sort of a match if we obtain dollars for the pier or the build-out. The acquisition is 100% covered by the Seaport Council at the $1.7 million purchase price.
Obviously, this is our scheduled last council meeting. The expectation is we take action on this tonight?
Absolutely. We're hoping to close, as soon as possible, by the end of the summer at the latest. We've done a lot of our due diligence. I mean, this isn't anything that we haven't been pushing for and haven't been working for. We reviewed the AUL on the site. We've spent a lot of time, obviously, with the engineering and the plans, and we're, really ready to go. The P&S is, frankly, the last part of the dialogue, just because last part of the puzzle, because we've had so much dialogue in advance.
Can you talk about the specifics of the AUL?
The AUL has is an activity and use limitation, and it has some limitations in a couple of hot spots that are on the site. The site has been fully remediated, not by Dominion, but actually by the prior owner. We had our LSP from Woodward and Curran review the existing AUL, and he has provided us with correspondence indicating everything that we're planning to do under the Salem Wharf plan is completely allowable under the AUL, doesn't foresee any problems. There's one area when we begin to do any trenching for utilities, if we were going to have bathrooms or water and sewer service out on the site in that terminal building, thing. We would have to go through a health and safety plan if we were to tunnel below the 3 feet cap that's on that facility, which is a fairly standard. We work under a HASP all the time, health and safety plan, on Furlong Park, on Peabody Street Park, and things like that. So that's, if there's any additional constraints that come with this AUL, that certainly is it. And we think that's very manageable and, again, not unexpected.
Thank you, Mayor. Oh, Council Creevy.
What are the contaminants? I'm not familiar with
I
exactly
think
what's in
I
it.
don't know the whole list of them. It's I believe lead and chromium are the makeup of the most of the contamination that was formerly on the site. Again, a lot of that's been remediated, and it's, you know, the fact that there's a cap on it now, and our intention for most of the site is to use it as a parking lot, is helpful. We're not really going to be impinging on the current cap as part of our development plans.
Any other member of the council wish to question the mayor?
Thank you, Mr.
Council Pinto.
President. Just a quick question. I'm just curious, Your Honor, that it was assessed at more and Dominion settled for 1.7.
Right.
Was it, did you have to hit them over the head? Were they
It's my
pretty good?
strong negotiating skills,
Well,
I think, is what it was.
I'm a little curious because I see
We actually didn't get
new
the
appraisal
updated-
at $1.9 million.
Yeah, we didn't get the updated appraisal till just last week. So when we had submitted the grant, I think we had always had that 1.7. We had an appraisal done at the time. I think it was like 169 or 165 was the initial appraisal. So we had sort of, when we submitted the grant application, had that $1.7 million in mind, consistent with that appraisal. So it's happenstance, good luck that since that time the property's escalated in value. Keep in mind, we've put that pier on there. There's been some improvements that have been made to the property since that initial appraisal was done that are beneficial, an active ferry service, so that's all contributing to the value of that land going up.
Council Pinto.
So do we give Dominion any credit? Just,
Absolutely.
you know,
I mean, we're very grateful to be able, in a position that we've been leasing it for 5 years for $1, so that's been beneficial. I mean, we were here 4 years ago talking about getting a ferry service off the ground. It's not only off the ground, it's thriving. It's a wonderful amenity, so we're just building on that. And you know, as I said, we're stealing it at 1.7, and we are grateful of their willingness to convey it. We're very grateful to have a state grant. It makes it obviously seamless for us to do that. We wouldn't have had a ferry without the state grant. So those resources have allowed us to make these improvements that are creating, you know, economic development within our community, and that's good news.
Thank you, Mayor. Any other members? Anyone else? Hearing none? The clerk will now read the matter before us. What is the question before us, ma'am?
Roll call vote.
Can you read the question at the motion? Yes.
Order to authorize the mayor to execute any and all documents for the purchase of a parcel of land on Assessors Map 41 from Dominion Energy of Salem Harbor LLC not to exceed $1,700,000 and to accept the grant of easement over a portion of land owned by Dominion Energy Salem Harbor LLC.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. The City Council now will take a yea and a nay vote on this question. Clerk will call the roll.
Counsel Fury?
Yes.
Counselor Lovely?
Yes.
Counselor O'Keefe?
Yes.
Counselor Pelletier?
Yes.
Counselor Pinto?
Yes.
Counselor Prevey?
Yes.
Counselor Ronan?
Yes.
Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
Counselor Sargent?
Yes.
Counselor Sosnowski?
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy?
Yes.
On the question of the appropriation, 11 councilors present, the vote being 11-0, I declare the matter adopted unanimously.
Mr. President,
Councilor,
I'd ask for immediate reconsideration in hopes it does not prevail.
Councilor McCarthy asks immediate reconsideration of this matter in hopes it will not prevail. All in favor? Opposed? Opposed. Unanimously opposed.
Unanimous.
Unanimous. Good job, Councilor.
Counsel Lovely,
Move that we move back to the regular scheduled meeting.
Counsel Lovely's recommendation to move back to the regular portion of the meeting. All's in favor? Communications from the mayor. Is that correct, Cheryl?
Yep.
Thank you.
We have an appropriation of $296,760 to the Retirement Stabilization Fund Vacation Sick Leave Buyback to be expended for the retirement of individuals of the school department.
Counsel Prevey.
Mr. President, I move for suspension of the rules.
Counsel Prevey's recommendation for suspension of the rules under discussion.
I move for adoption.
Counsel Prevey's recommendation for adoption under discussion.
Mr. President, every member of the council has before them a list of names totaling 11 school employees that are retiring. Obviously, as part of their contract negotiations, this is the buyback portion of that, where they're retiring, and whatever is left over for their sick leave and vacation time is now assessed, and they're each given this a portion of money. It ends up being $296,760.80, which is a lot of money. I know in talking with the finance director some time ago, we've had committee discussions where we knew some of these retirements were coming up and we'd have to appropriate a significant amount of money. Unfortunately, it's something that we're locked in through our contract agreements with the teachers union, and as a result, these people are due this money. In the past, Mr. President, we have referred this to committee to study it, but I think when we've looked over the paperwork, everything seems to be in order. The rates were calculated correctly, and certainly if the committee wants to refer this into committee, that's fine. I don't see the necessity of doing that just to kind of draw the same conclusion that we have on some of these other submittals that have been before us. I mean, because the bottom line is, like I said, we're bound by this. So I would ask my colleagues to support this unless someone has strong objections to having this go into committee for further examination.
Councilor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no objections, but I'm just looking at the list, and I just wanted to thank a couple of these teachers, because 31 years ago, when I was in kindergarten at the Sheridan School, Diane O'Donnell, who's retiring, she was the principal at Horace Mann.
Yep.
She was my kindergarten teacher, and John Fortunato was the gym teacher. So they've been in the system at least 31 years, because that's when I was in kindergarten, and I think they did a pretty good job. I mean, it takes a lot to be a teacher, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Councilor Creevy.
Mr. President, I'd ask for suspension of the rules to allow the finance director, if he would, to answer a few questions about this.
On Councilor Prevy's request for suspension of the rules, all those in favor, all those opposed? Mr. Viskey.
Thanks, Mr. Viskey. The money that's appropriated for this, is this in the budget that we just entered into right now, or is it the one we're just closed out of?
The 2011 budget, you appropriated, off the top of my head, I think it was $825,000 into the Retirement Stabilization Fund. Now what you're doing is appropriating money out of that fund to fund these retirees.
Okay.
So the money has been funded as part of the June 30th appropriation process, and now it's the matter of the money coming out to fund the particular retirees.
Is this something that had anything to do with the contract negotiations that were settled with the teachers union?
No, it's just the agreement that they're due a certain amount of days worth of compensation for their sick times that they've accrued and haven't used, and there was no particular contract negotiation that forced these people to retire or whatever. These are people who just retired on their own will.
So the contract we entered into with them are obviously for employees that are currently part of the union in terms of, they're still employed by the city, through the school department. That's the contract negotiation. This money is for the people that are obviously leaving and retiring, and that's a separate amount than what was negotiated for with the school contract?
That's correct. That's just the accrual buyout of the sick time that they're allowed per contracts that have been signed and continue to be in place.
Okay. And it was my understanding that obviously anyone, whether it's with the school department or in other departments throughout the city, that when folks retire, whether they're union or they would all be union people, essentially, that would be entitled to whatever their buyback is, right?
I believe there's a handful of non-union people that have been grandfathered in as of a certain date, but otherwise there's all the union employees do this, and each union agreement has different variations of what the buyout is. I believe the teachers is a 80-day sick leave buyout at this point.
And all those buyouts have to come out of the stabilization fund for that, the retirement?
Well, they don't have to. We created the stabilization account because prior to having the stabilization account, what we'd have to do is we'd have to take it out of their general operating budget, which either deferred them hiring the new teachers or forced them to kind of maybe lay off other people to fund it. So we've come forward to try to fund the stabilization account so that we can not affect the general operation of this. And during our budget process, we ask all the departments to give the anticipated retirements for their respective departments, and we tally up those dollars. We come in for a request to go into the fund, and then now you're seeing those anticipated retirements funded and come out of that fund.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilor Rona.
Yeah, through you, Mr. President. Yep. Rich, I'm not exactly sure what this is, and I'm going to suggest that we refer this into the Committee on Administration and Finance. Out of the $47 million school budget, we set up a line item for these buybacks of $825,000. Isn't that right?
Not in the school budget. The stabilization account is a separate account that is controlled by the council. We appropriate money into that for the specific purpose of funding these retirement buyouts. And so that isn't a fund of the schools or the cities. It's actually a stabilization account that's controlled by the council.
Okay. And you're asking through this appropriation that we add to that $825,000 that we haven't spent yet, because we're just getting into...
No, this is actually, the 825 has been put in. Now this is a withdrawal of 297,000.
Okay, because, well, I'm reading it. It says appropriate $296,760 to the retirement stabilization fund.
That should be from, I didn't see the language, but I think you want to amend that on the floor. It's from the retirement stabilization account.
From the, okay, well, that's obviously a big difference.
Big difference.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Counselor.
I would move that we amend this to read appropriation of $296,760 from the retirement stabilization fund, vacation, sick leave buyback, to be expended for the retirement of individuals in the school department.
Thank you. On the acceptance of the recommendation, all's in favor? All's opposed? Any further discussion?
Reading in.
On adoption of the order, on the adoption of Council Prevy's order for the appropriation of $296,760 from the Retirement Stabilization Fund, all's in favor? All's opposed? Further communications from the mayor.
We have an appropriation of $157,796 from fund balance free cash to the stabilization fund.
Council Prevy.
Mr. President, I move for suspension of the rules.
Council Prevy moves for suspension of the rules. All's in favor? All's opposed? Council Prevy.
Mr. President, I further move that this matter be adopted.
On Councilor Prevy's recommendation for adoption, under discussion.
As part of the process of closing out our books for fiscal year 2010, we obviously get free cash that is certified, after which, under the administration's policy, which this council is fully aware of, we apportion a percentage of that money into the stabilization fund. So in this instance, the administration is requesting that $157,796 that's in free cash go into the stabilization account. And obviously that's important just so we can make sure that we have a cushion to kind of rest on financially. And I know that's something that we constantly keep an eye on to make sure that we build up our reserves. So I would certainly urge my colleagues to support that.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, on adoption of Council Prevy's recommendation that we, of this matter, all those in favor? All those opposed? Further communications from the mayor.
A transfer of $84,587 from a list of departmental accounts to offset deficit balances to close the books for the fiscal year 2010.
Councilor Prevy.
Mr. President, I move for adoption.
Under discussion?
This is part of the process of essentially one of the key processes of closing out the books for the year. We have several different departments here: City Council, Historic Commission, Board of Appeals, Building Inspector, Engineering, 2 line items for treasurer, and 2 line items for DPW. Some have excesses, and then the transfers are going to some of our deficits to make sure that our books are really kind of equalized, closing them out and making sure that everything is satisfied with those accounts before, obviously, we really kind of dig into 2011. So I would ask my colleagues to approve that. If there are any questions, I would certainly defer to the Finance Director, who is here for the purpose of answering those questions.
Thank you, Council. Any further discussion? Councilor Sosnowski.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't have a problem with this generally. However, in the debt service for the Bates School, isn't that pretty much a fixed amount? And if that's the case, why is there so much excess left over? $76,000 left over in that account? Isn't that a fixed monthly payment in a debt service? I would move for suspension of the rules to allow Finance Director to address that question. Thank you.
Suspension of the rules to allow Mr. Biscay to address the council. All those in favor, all those opposed? Mr. Biscay.
Thank you. Counsel, you're exactly correct. All the debt service is budgeted based upon a fixed debt schedule for the most part. As you recall, part of last year's bond authorization, you had given us the opportunity to refinance bonds if it ever seemed appropriate to save some money. And as such, we have refinanced bonds from 1996 and fiscal year 2000. Those refinancings saved us approximately $200,000 on our debt service for 2010. That money was from the Bates School. That was a 1996 debt issue. So that money's been sitting there, and it would otherwise be closed out the free cash, but since it's a treasurer's budget, we're using a portion of that savings to fill some of the other deficits of the city. So typically you don't see, those numbers are right on. You usually see zero balances on all debt service. But because we refinanced that, we realized the savings of over $200,000, and that's what's reflected, and that's what's being used to transfer.
Thank you. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none. On adoption of the recommendation, all those in favor? All those opposed? Further communications from the mayor.
We have an appropriation of $27,000 from fund balance free cash to solicitor judgments account.
Councilor Prevey.
Mr. President, I move for suspension of the rules.
Councilor Prevey's recommendation suspends the rules. All those in favor, all those opposed? Councilor Prevey.
I move for adoption.
Councilor Prevey's recommendation for adoption on discussion.
Mr. President, the $27,000 is something that obviously we discussed as a settlement through the advice of our counsel, Mr. Paracella, relative to this settlement here. So I don't think there needs to be any further discussion. We are all very satisfied with Mr. Paracella's representation that this is in the best interest of the city going forward, and that to continue to fight this could be a costly venture for the city. So I think we're getting off pretty good based upon what legal counsel has represented to us. So I would certainly, I think everyone's kind of in agreement with that. So we'll just appropriate the motion, be settled with the case, and then be indemnified from that point further. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Any further discussion?
Move for roll call, Mr. President. Maybe? I don't know. It's...
No, it comes up later.
I withdraw my motion.
Thank you. On adoption of Councilor Prevey's recommendation, all those in favor? All those opposed? Further communications from the mayor.
We have an appropriation of $16,668 to the retirement stabilization from the Retirement Stabilization Fund's vacation sick leave buyback to be expended for the retirement of Donna Michaud in the Treasurer's Department.
Councilor Prevey.
Mr. President, I move for suspension of the rules.
Councilor Prevey's request for suspension of rules. All those in favor, all those opposed? Councilor Prevey.
I move for adoption.
Councilor Prevey's recommendation for adoption under discussion.
Mr. President, as we all know, Donna Michaud retired and is a huge loss in the Treasurer's office, who really, even though she never carried the title, whenever you talk to Ann Bostede about it, she really acted as the Assistant Treasurer because of all the work that she did and the knowledge that she possessed in the Treasurer's office and the support she gave. And so she will certainly be a very missed, valued employee. And just as we went through the employees who are retiring with the school department, Donna is also entitled to her buyback as well. And so this portion in here captures that. So I'd ask for my colleagues to approve that so she can move on her happy way and enjoy her retirement.
Any further discussion? Councilor Ronan.
Yes, Mr. President, I just want to make sure that this that we're voting on this as read, and that is this
from
reads yes from
yes
the Retirement Stabilization Fund.
Yes. Councilor Sosnowski.
Very briefly, Mr. President, after this matter passes, which hopefully it will, I'd suggest that we send her a city seal in grateful appreciation from the City Council of all her years of service. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on the adoption of Council Prevy's recommendation, all those in favor, all those opposed? Further communications from the mayor.
We have an appropriation of $15,000 from fund balance free cash to treasurer's contracted services.
Council Prevy.
Mr. President, I move that this matter be referred to Committee on Administration and Finance.
Under discussion?
Under discussion. I had a brief discussion with Mr. Viscay as to the reasons behind the contracted services, and it's in connection with the treasurer's office. But I'd like for the committee to take a closer look at this, just in terms of, I know our auditors, Powers and Sullivan, are going to be involved in doing an audit on it. So I'd like the committee to have an opportunity to ask additional questions.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Council Prevy's recommendation, this matter be referred to the Committee on Administration and Finance. All those in favor, all those opposed? Further communications from the mayor.
We have an appropriation of $2,500 from Receipts Reserve Salem Common to Park and Recreation ground maintenance.
Council Prevy.
Mr. President, I move for suspension of the rules.
Council Prevy's recommendation for suspension of the rules. All those in favor, all those opposed? Council Prevy.
Mr. President, I move for adoption.
On Council Prevy's recommendation for adoption, under discussion.
Mr. President, every member of the council has a letter from the mayor as well as from Doug Boland, Director of Park and Recreation, relative to requesting this money for ground maintenance and improvements on the common. Park and Recreation needs, they also need to purchase flags, sandstone for the walking path, backflow preventer, and 2 shutoffs for the irrigation system. So it seems reasonable to appropriate this money for that purpose and make sure that, you know, the common gets the resources it needs to keep it the beautiful resource that it is.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on the adoption of Council Prevy's recommendation, all those in favor, all those opposed? Further communications from the mayor.
We have an order to accept a donation of $5,000 from the Danvers Bank to fund the Essex County Summer Camp Program.
Council Prevy.
Mr. President, I move for adoption.
Under discussion?
Very briefly, we certainly want to thank Danvers Bank for their generous donation to the Essex County Summer Camp. I know over the last few months, every council meeting that we've had donations come in. We've got some more here for the summer camp. It's a wonderful thing, and that's certainly something that we want to continue to accept those donations. Obviously, whenever people hand us money, we always seem to be giving out money as a municipality, but when people give us money, we're more than happy to take it, especially for such a worthwhile program such as this. So it helps so many youth, and I know our police department is behind it 100%. So certainly we want to thank Danvers Bank, and I will thank the subsequent donators as well.
Thank you, Council. Any further discussion? Seeing none. On adoption of Council Prevy's recommendation, all those in favor, all those opposed? Further communications from the mayor.
We have an order to accept a donation of $2,500 from the town of Saugus to fund the Essex County Summer Camp Program.
Council Prevy.
Mr. President, I move for adoption.
Under discussion?
Big thanks to the town of Saugus for donating the money to the Essex County Summer Camp.
There's a whole bunch of them, as I can see. Thank you to all of them. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on the adoption of the recommendation by Councilor Prevy, all those in favor, all those opposed? Further communications from the mayor.
We have an order to accept a donation of $1,000 from Spectra Energy to fix the picket fence at the Salem Willows.
Councilor Prevy.
Thank you, Mr. President. We'd like to thank Spectra Energy, whoever they are, for donating, you know, this amount of money. So it certainly is great to make sure that whenever there's something like this that needs to be repaired, especially in the Willows, to keep the Willows beautiful. So the residents of the Willows are satisfied. You know, we'll certainly do what we can. So,
thank you, Councilor. Councilor Pinto.
Briefly, Mr. President, thank
Briefly?
you. Briefly, very briefly. The fence looks great for anyone that's been down there. Councilor and myself lived down there. Did an absolutely fabulous job on a fence that was rotting and deteriorating. It was very nice of them to do that. I would personally like to thank them. They did a great job. It looks great. And we had actually one of our neighbors, Councilor McCarthy and myself, had called us previous about the fence. So now I don't think she'll be calling us anymore. It's all done. Thank you.
Councilor O'Keefe.
Could Councilor Pinto advise us who Spectra Energy is, or could you, Mr. President?
I could.
You could. All right.
If I may.
I defer.
Council Ward 1, Robert McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. Spectre Energy is the offshore LNG terminal that's out there, out in the harbor. And Spectra actually approached the city and said they wanted to, you know, because they use the harbor, they wanted to get involved in a project locally and something near the water. And in discussions with Doug Boland and Park and Rec, this has been something that's been on Park and Rec's burner for a long time. And with discussions, Doug, approached everybody and said, "What do you think about this idea?" And they went all for it.
Where is this fence?
This fence actually runs from where the two stone pillars are that come out of the residential area of the Willows, which is the end of Beach, right where Sutton starts. There's two granite pillars so traffic can't flow through there. As you walk towards Hobbs's, I highly recommend going for their popcorn and ice cream if you're not already there. As you walk towards Hobbs's and to the rest of the Willows, the fence is immediately on your left as you go down. It's about a 3-foot high picket fence. They did a very nice job. My wife and I went for a walk last night and we noticed that it was very, very well done, as Councilor Pinto has said.
Thank you for the information.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on adoption of Council Preview's recommendation, all is in favor, all is opposed. That carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an order to accept the donation of $1,000 from the town of Swampscott to fund the Essex County Summer Camp Program.
Council Preview.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption.
Under discussion?
I'd like to thank our neighbors right next door in the town of Swampscott for their generous donation to the Essex County Summer Camp.
Thank you, Council. Any further discussion? Seeing none. On acceptance of the recommendation from Council Preview, all is in favor, all is opposed. Further communications from the mayor.
Order to accept a donation of $1,000 from Taché Auctions to fund the Essex County Summer Camp Program.
Council Preview.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption.
Under discussion?
Yes, I'd like to thank the Tachés for this generous donation for the
Thank you,
summer camp.
Councilor. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on adoption of the recommendation, all is in favor, all is opposed. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an order to adopt modification to existing economic opportunity area and approve a site-specific EOA for tax increment financing for U.S. Biological, Inc.
Councilor Lovely.
Mr. President, I'd like to move this to the Committee of the Whole so we can hold a meeting next week on it.
Under discussion?
No discussion. I think actually when we go into a tax increment financing type of process, it really does need some vetting out, I'm sure people have a lot of questions. We need a lot of answers. It's not something that really could be done at this evening's City Council meeting, but it also isn't because there's a timeliness to this. Can't go to September. So I'm all for holding a special meeting next week to have a meeting on this, and let's discuss it and then vote on it then.
Thank you, Council. Any further? Council Pelletier.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. As we discussed earlier today about this, and yesterday, I believe, I could not believe what you told me that somebody was going to object to Mr. Shore coming in and speaking tonight. Now, I have constituents that live right across the street that are watching tonight. They were hoping to get some information, all right? Now they're not going to get it tonight, all right? And that's wrong. We should have brought Mr. Shore in, voted up or down. If somebody objected to suspension of the rules, then that shows bad business sense, all right? So now we got to have another meeting. We didn't have to vote on this tonight. At least my constituents would have heard what United States Biological is all about and what Mr. Shore's plans are. So I would ask you to get SATV to tape that next meeting that we have. So I don't have to answer dozens of phone calls because one of my colleagues was going to deny this guy to speak tonight.
Thank you, Council.
I just say, very least.
Thank you, Council. Any further discussion? Council Lovely.
Mr. President, I'd like to ask the City Clerk to extend an invitation to Mr. Shore to come to next week's meeting. so that we can, again, have a discussion, and hopefully SATV can tape that. Thank you.
As chair of the committee of the whole, I will work with the solicitor, the city clerk tomorrow to make sure that all the invitations go out and that I make a formal request to SATV to take the proceedings if that's your wish.
Thank
Any
you, Mr.
further
President.
discussion? Seeing none, on the adoption of the recommendation from Council Lovely that this matter be moved to the committee of the whole, all those in favor, all those opposed. Further communications to the mayor.
We have a resolution authorizing the certified project application of U.S. Biological.
Council Lovely.
Move it that it be referred to the committee of the whole.
Council Lovely's recommendation this matter be referred to the committee of the whole, all those in favor, all those opposed. Further communications from the mayor.
We have a resolution authorizing a tax increment financing agreement for U.S. Biological, Inc.
Council Lovely.
Move that it be referred to the committee of the whole.
Council Lovely's recommendation this matter be moved to the committee of the whole, all those in favor, all those opposed. Mayor's informational page.
The mayor is submitting an executive summary of the Salem Comprehensive Parking Plan.
Mr. President,
Councilor O'Keefe.
I move that this matter of the executive summary of the Salem Comprehensive Parking Plan be referred to the Committee on Ordinances, License, and Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole for their discussion and recommendations.
Under discussion?
It's very comprehensive. I went over and went through the whole program, and I know a lot of my colleagues did too. And we're going to have to make some, or should make some changes in the traffic patterns, and it's appropriate that the Committee of Ordinances, License, and Legal Affairs go through all of these suggested changes in routes of traffic and what have you, and parking spaces, so it makes sense that they would work on this with the Committee of the Whole. I recommend probably in the fall, do something with it.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Council O'Keefe's recommendation, this matter be referred to the Committee on License, Order, the Legal Affair, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motions, orders, and resolutions. Council Prevey.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem and the City Council order that the Committee on Administration and Finance review Section 2, Article 2 of the City Ordinance entitled Compensation of Salaried Employees for the purpose of requiring all mid-budget year raises to be brought before the City Council for approval. Invited would be the Human Resources Director, Mayor or her representative, and the Finance Director.
Under discussion?
Under discussion, Mr. President, this kind of falls on the tail end, obviously, of our budget discussions and what the committee was doing. And I raised this issue when we approved the budget, that there was mid-year raises that were given out that obviously didn't come in front of the council. And then when we looked into it, it appears that they're not required, at least my reading of the ordinance, to do that if there's money actually in the budget to do that. Now, some of those raises have to come in front of the City Council because when they have been submitted for the appropriation to give people raises, there was no money left in those personnel line items within that department. Now, I have no problem with people getting raises if they are entitled to raises, if they do outstanding work. But one of the things that I don't like to see, and I suspect it may have occurred in this incident, in this particular situation, was people getting raises and other people not. And people getting raises unbeknownst to us, because as we all know, when we approved the budget, everyone got a 2% raise across the board. Well, for everyone who got a 2% raise across the board, there were other people before the 2% raise was given to them. Months earlier, they were given an additional raise. And that's all fine and good, like I said, but I think that the City Council should provide a little bit more oversight to this to make sure there is equity here. Because when there isn't, people eventually find out that people get raises. And when one person gets a raise because they have worked hard, and another person who has worked equally as hard doesn't get recognized for that and doesn't get a raise, I've got a problem with it. I think everyone should have a problem with it because it's demoralizing to our city employees. So I'd like to take a look at this in some detail and see what we can do in terms of looking at the city ordinance, finding out if there's something that needs to be enacted within the ordinance requiring every department to come forward and justify a mid-year raise, essentially, is what it would amount to. Because that would be something above and beyond what they get when the new budget cycle starts and everyone gets a raise across the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Council Pinto.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wholeheartedly support that, the order that Councilor Prevey brought in. During the A&F meetings, we had a discussion with, of course, all department heads, and actually my colleague from Ward 6 picked up on a particular $2,500 raise that was given to an employee, but that no one was really aware of. So what had happened is we had a discussion with the finance director as to what line item this came out of, what have you, but we were not aware of this until our A&F meeting at the end of the year. So I think what Councilor Prevey has proposed is warranted, and I think, in all fairness, we do like to see everybody get a raise, but I don't think it should be at one of the last meetings in A&F that you find out that someone got a raise and we were unaware of it. Thank you.
Council Pelletier.
What committee is that going into?
Administration Finance.
Well, if there's going to be an ordinance change, the Committee on Administrative Finance has to send it to the Ordinance Committee. If you want to make a change in the ordinance.
Council Prevey.
Mr. President, I think because it has to deal with a money issue, that perhaps A&F should take it up first, and then later on we can refer it to ordinances, license, and legal affairs to address any legal matters that come up for the ordinance change.
Good answer.
Very appropriate. Any further discussion? Seeing none. On adoption of Councilor Prevey's order, all those in favor? All those opposed? Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor O'Keefe.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the City Council. City of Salem election warrant state primary. Dated today, July 15, 2010. Ordered that the meeting of the qualified voters of the City of Salem be held in the several voting precincts in the city at the polling places designated hereunder on Tuesday, September 14, 2010, for the purpose of casting votes in the state election for the candidates of political parties for the following offices: Governor for this Commonwealth, Lieutenant Governor for this Commonwealth, Attorney General for this Commonwealth, Secretary of State for this Commonwealth, Treasurer for this Commonwealth, Auditor for this Commonwealth, Representative of Congress, 6th Congressional District, Councilor, 5th District, Senator in General Court, 2nd Essex District, Representative in General Court, 7th Essex District, District Attorney, Eastern District, Sheriff, Essex County. Further ordered that the following places be and hereby are designated as polling places for said voting: Ward 1, Precincts 1 and 2, Bentley School, Memorial Drive. Ward 2, Precinct 1 and 2, St. John's Church, St. Peter Street. Ward 3, Precinct 1 and 2, Salem High School Auditorium, 77 Wilson Street. Ward 4, Precincts 1 and 2, Witchcraft Heights School Gymnasium, 1 Frederick Street. Ward 5, Precinct 1, Temple Shalom, 287 Lafayette Street. Precinct 2, Community Room, Pioneer Terrace. Ward 6, Precinct 1, Bates School, Liberty Hill Avenue. Precinct 2, Mack Park, Tremont Street. Ward 7, Precincts 1 and 2, Salem State Enterprise Center, 121 Loring Avenue. Further ordered that the polls of said voting be opened at 7 a.m. and closed at 8 p.m., and that the city clerk be instructed to post this notice as required by law. For adoption.
Any discussion?
None.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, on adoption of Councilor O'Keefe's recommendation, all those in favor? All those opposed? Further motions, orders, resolutions. Councilor Ronan.
Yes, Mr. President, I would move for suspension of the rules so that we can take a report from the planning board out of order, because I want to make a motion with respect to this.
On Councilor Ronan's recommendation to take a matter out of order, all those in favor? All those opposed? Councilor Ronan.
On the sheet, the communications from city officials, we received back a recommendation from the planning board, who voted 5 in favor, none opposed, to our proposed amendment to the zoning law, to the zoning laws that would affect a medical clinic. So I think that procedurally, what I'd like to do is I'd like to vote to accept the planning board's recommendation, and then I'm going to move for passage, for first passage of the zoning ordinance amendment.
Any further discussion?
not on the matter of accepting the planning board's recommendation.
Councilor Pelletier, on the matter of accepting the planning board's recommendation?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what he's trying to do. You don't want to accept the planning board's recommendation, or you're going to amend this on the floor tonight?
No, I think procedurally, to pass, to get the first passage of the zoning ordinance amendment, we have to first get this back from the planning board. So right now, what I'm asking is that we just accept this, you know, because it's later on in tonight's meeting. We accept the planning board's recommendation, we just accept it, place it on file. Then I'm going to move that we pass the zoning ordinance amendment first passage.
Okay, you're not going to amend it anymore?
No, not more
okay.
than that.
All right. I heard amendment,
Okay.
that's why, yeah.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, on adoption of Councilor Ronan's recommendation that we receive the planning board's recommendation, all is in favor, all is opposed?
Yes, Mr. President. I'm going to move that we amend the zoning ordinance relative to medical clinics pursuant to the recommendation of the planning board. Essentially, the planning board got our zoning ordinance amendment, and they've just tweaked it a little bit, and I'll explain those changes. Medical and dental offices weren't included in the recodification of the zoning ordinance amendment, nor were medical clinics in the table of uses. So what the planning board has done, and I don't think it affects our purposes, is they've included both medical and dental offices and medical clinics in the table of uses. Now they've changed. They've recommended that we allow medical and dental offices to go into business districts or industrial districts by right. I don't have a problem with that. I'm really concerned about medical clinics. So they've tweaked the definition somewhat, just a little bit, of medical clinics. But for my purposes, it covers the medical clinic that I'm most concerned about. Medical clinics would not be allowed to go in business districts, either a 1, 2, 3, or an industrial zone without a special permit. There is an exemption that the city solicitor has worked on, and I'll explain it. Basically, it is a medical clinic that's run by the hospital would be exempted here, or a medical clinic that's run by the federal government or the state. So with those exceptions, this is essentially the ordinance amendment that Councilor Pelletier, Councilor Lovely, and myself had proposed. So I would suggest we pass this for first passage tonight, and then we can have our second passage when we meet back up again at our next meeting in September. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Council. Any further discussion? Councilor Pelletier.
Just briefly, the city solicitor wrote this definition of medical clinic, or the planning board, or jointly, or
Mr. President.
what we have here?
Yes, she initially, she and I worked on the language.
Okay.
When it went to the planning board, they were concerned, that,
Right.
well, their concern was
Okay.
really, we don't want to.
It looks good to me,
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, we don't want to do anything against the hospital here.
Right.
So
Under Mass General law.
she has then tweaked it after it's been to the planning board.
That's fine, I like the way it's written.
Any further discussion?
Does.
Councilor Ryan.
Thank you. I just want clarification. So like if a dental office or a doctor's office wants to go into a business area, they don't need a special permit. They can go in.
Correct. They will be allowed as a matter of right now.
I agree. Any further discussion?
Roll call vote, Mr. President?
Roll call vote, 3 hands. The yea vote would be to recommend adoption of the ordinance as presented to us,
Right,
as submitted,
as amended.
as amended. Madam City Clerk, if you could call roll, please.
Counselor Fury?
No.
Counselor Lovely?
Yes.
Counselor,
Go ahead.
do I keep going? Okay. Counselor O'Keefe?
Yes.
Counselor Pelletier?
Yes.
Counselor Pinto?
Yes.
Counselor Prevey?
Yes.
Counselor Ronan?
Yes.
Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
Counselor Sargent?
Yes.
Counselor Sosnowski?
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy?
Yes. On the matter of first passage to adopt as amended the ordinance in front of us, we have 11 members voting, 10 in the affirmative, 1 in the negative. Matter carries.
President, move for immediate reconsideration. Hope that does not prevail.
Councilor Pelletier's request for immediate reconsideration, hold on, all in favor, all opposed?
Opposed.
That carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor O'Keefe.
Mr. President, members of the City Council, July 15, 2010, ordered that the matter of the appointment of Thomas Watkins as the purchasing agent, order number 218, be discharged from the Committee on Ordinance, Administration and Finance, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole by a roll call vote. This is signed by
Under discussion.
signed by myself, Councilor John Lovely, Councilor J.P. Pelletier, and Thomas Fury. Remarks?
Under discussion.
Yes, reluctantly, very reluctantly, I submit this request of this motion order, and I'm just going to ask for a simple hand vote, not a roll call vote. Earlier this month, I talked to the chairman of the Committee on Administration and Finance. I got the impression from Councilor Creevy that he was going to have the committee work on this matter and present a recommendation tonight. He tells me that he has been very, and the committee, I realize, and him have been very busy on other matters, but this has been in the committee since April 1st. And we can discharge this matter. In my recollection, and the city clerk could help me out, I don't ever recall a matter being discharged from a committee in my tenure here on the city council. It's never been done. But there's provisions in the rules of the city government, city council. Rule 38, discharging matters from the committee. No matter previously referred to a standing committee of the city council shall at a subsequent meeting of the council be discharged from such committee without a majority vote in favor of such discharge by the members of the committee to whom the matter is referred, or a 2/3 vote of the city council. Now that means 2/3, that means we need 8 votes for this to be adopted tonight. I don't believe I have, or the petitioners, the signatories of this petition, this order, have the 8 votes. But I really, I don't hold any grudge against Councilor Creevy or the committee. I just, why let this matter drag on? Mr. Watkins is a native Salemite, went to Salem Public Schools, which went to Bishop Fenwick, went to state colleges, has been working in government off and on. But really, he's a grandson of a former member of the city council who I serve with. Robert Field was a councilor of Ward 5. That is his grandfather. And I mean, how more could we get a Salem candidate for a Salem job who's qualified? And I would just ask my colleagues by a show of their hands tonight to support my order to have the committee discharge this matter tonight.
Council, for clarification, are you asking for a roll call vote?
No, no, I'm not. Hand vote. Yes and up and down. Yes or no? Not a hand. No, I don't want to have a roll call vote.
Council Fury.
Yes, please. As a member of the Committee on Administration and Finance, I believe we've had the opportunity and time to deliberate responsibly on this issue. We have not. I believe this appointment should come before the City Council, voted up or down. I think we have an excellent appointee to this position, to the purchasing agent. It's a good position, it's a critical position, it's a professional position. He's certified, he's board certified. That whole department is made professionalized since Mayor Harrington's administration, to Mayor Yusefich's administration, and now to Mayor Driscoll's administration.
I don't want to put
And I think we need to up or down tonight. No other appointment in the past, as Council Keith said, in my tenure here on the City Council has been delayed and deferred. I believe it's a deep injustice to this City Council and to the nominee itself. He's an excellent candidate, a local candidate, who's amply qualified. I think as a member of the Administration of Finance, we've had that opportunity. He's never come before Administration of Finance. We've had meeting after meeting after meeting, budget meetings galore. This is a deep injustice to him, a deep injustice to
Just because
the
I need to
institution.
have
It's
the
such a bad
votes
practice.
that it's discharged.
It's very bad practice. This is a bad case. It's a professional board committee. So I think we should up or down it, sincerely, and discharge it.
Council Pelletier, then Council Lovely.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to second my colleague, Councilor O'Keefe's motion to bring this to the floor. We did have a meeting, and Tom Watkins, the mayor, everybody was here, but nobody questioned Tom Watkins. It was all about wanting to go in the ante room and read everybody's biographies of their, what do you call it? Resumes, okay? And that couldn't be done, they could go over 120. Now, I watched the chair for A&F tell Councilor O'Keefe, you know, this has been going on for what, 2 months now, or a month and a half. And I think at the last meeting, if I remember correctly, Councilor O'Keefe asked the chair, would you be bringing this forward at this time before we break for the summer? The chair's reply was yes. Councilor O'Keefe, is that your word? The reply was yes. That's what I remember. And let's just get it out. I mean, I don't know why it's dragging.
Council Ryan. Oh, I'm sorry, Council Lovely first, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I looked to see if he was done, and he had his hand up, I apologize.
Sorry, I know I'm hidden behind the
Yeah, I know, I'm
statue.
thinking, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, I do. I also support this council order, and I said enough on it the last time. I do recall, as Councilor Pelletier said, that Councilor Prevey did say that he would bring this matter out, and said it on the floor as a matter of record, would bring the matter out. And then this week, we received an email that A&F, the Administration and Finance Committee meeting that was scheduled for tonight at 6 o'clock, was canceled. And I really thought that's when it would come out, that they would, you know, it's a standing meeting, didn't have to be a special meeting, standing meeting. When I saw the cancellation, I thought, why is A&F being canceled? I don't understand. And maybe if the chair of A&F could let the council know why was the meeting canceled, and why was there a change? Why'd you change? Somebody changed their mind, or you changed your mind about what you said publicly. I think at least Tom Watkins deserved that. I think Salem residents deserve that, because these meetings are televised. People know what's going on at home. I've received phone calls on this. What's the holdup? I don't understand. Why won't the committee release it? And I go, I don't know. It has something to do with resumes. The fact that you have to go over to read the resumes. I went over and read the resumes. I know some other councilors have. I know other councilors didn't feel they had to read the resumes. It's the first time I had ever done it in the years I've been on the council. Didn't think it was a bad thing. It doesn't really change anything. We don't get to pick who the person is. We just get to confirm. It's either yes or no. But if Councilor Prevey could just let the council know what happened, why the change, when you said yes publicly and now now we have to resort to this, which I agree with Councilor O'Keefe. No one wants to resort to this to pull something out of someone's committee. It shouldn't have to happen that way. Chairs of committee and committee members, they're appointed to those committees to take matters up in a timely fashion and do the people's business. Thank you.
Mr. President.
Council Ryan first.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to vote for Tom Watkins when it comes out of the Finance Committee, and not when it's coming the way it's coming now. I mean, I don't need to go look at the resumes, but there's people in our committee that want to still look at the resumes. I think Tom's qualified, but you know what? The Finance Committee, we just went through the budget in 5 days, I think. And I don't think that's probably ever been done in the City Council. I mean, I applaud everybody on the Finance Committee for getting through that. We get the budget at the last moment, and most of the dates on that were May 20th. We could have had it a lot earlier and put us under pressure to do that. It actually burned me out. I mean, I'm burned out, and I can understand Councilor Prevey. I mean, hopefully, maybe we can get it done before the summer, because I'm sure we're having another meeting for the TIF and stuff like that. I mean, I have nothing against Mr. Watkins. I spoke to his grandfather, because he was a former resident of Ward 4. I think it was Hanson Street he lived on. No, but he grew up in Gallows Hill. So he called me, I spoke to him, and I know Tom Watkins, but when it gets discharged from the Finance Committee is when I'll vote for his confirmation.
Mr. President.
Councilor O'Keefe and Councilor
Mr. President,
Ronan.
clarification. The city clerk has cautioned me that I should ask for a roll call vote to appropriately meet the 2/3 vote of the yeas and nays, so I'm going to ask for a roll call vote.
I would recommend that as well. I was
Thank
waiting
you,
till the
sir.
end of discussion. Council Ronan.
Mr. President, I agree with my colleague. I'm going to vote for this gentleman when it comes out of committee. But I've been in that committee, and we've asked for various things. This really doesn't have anything to do with Tom Watkins at this point in time. The committee asked for some information regarding candidates for this position, and we were stonewalled. I mean, that's really what it was. We sat in this council chamber, and Mr. Watkins came in, we asked for the resumes. They wouldn't give us the resumes. We said we'd see the resumes in executive session. If there was something sensitive about that, they didn't want to allow us to go into executive sessions to see the resumes. There was one person in the council chamber. She agreed to leave, and she left, so there was only committee members here, sitting here to look at the resumes, yet the administration wouldn't give us the resumes. So I'm going to stick with my colleagues. I think, as a city council, sometimes we have a role that is separate and distinct from the administration. And I think we've got to support, our colleagues here on the council. We've asked for something, and basically this was a situation where there's a clash of wills. The administration didn't want to give the Committee on Administration and Finance this material. I've told Tom Watkins he's got my vote. He's a constituent of mine. He lives in Ward 5, and I'm going to vote for him when we discharge this from committee. But in terms of this situation, I'm going to back my colleague here, the Chairman of Administration and Finance. Thank you, Mr. President.
Council Pinto, then Council Prevey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Being a member of the A&F committee and being asked to approve a budget that was submitted to us on June 21st, and we basically had 9 days to approve it with a public hearing, a Sunday, a council meeting, Saturday. Yeoman's work on A&F's part. All the meetings were co-posted with committee, with the rest of the committee, but I can say that honestly only maybe a couple of my colleagues showed up at some of those meetings. It was grueling. I applaud my chairman in A&F. Sometimes it was very contested. It was very tough. We got through it, Mr. President. I, like my brother councilor of Ward 5, am going to support the chairman on this. We asked for these resumes, and we did not get. Now, we don't get to pick who, but we get to confirm who. And to confirm, we asked for information to help us confirm. That's all we asked for. We didn't get it. That being said, I wholeheartedly support my colleague across the aisle and look very much forward to this roll call vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate the comments from everyone, no matter what side you're on with regard to this. And my hope was, going into this, that the issue would have been resolved, that the committee would have come to some resolution that was acceptable with the committee as well as with the administration. And I even spoke with Jason Silva about this matter. And one of the things, when I discussed with him about this matter, he brought it up, it was in a larger discussion about the budget. And one of the things I said to him is, let's get through the budget, and we'll have a separate discussion about what we can do to satisfy what the committee has asked for. And I think it's a reasonable request. I don't think it's unreasonable. And then once we get through the budget, then we'll move on to this thing. Well, as Councilor Ryan appropriately described, we went through this crazy budget situation and had these meetings where we were here to midnight and 1:30 and just exhausted. It took me over a week and a half just to recover, just in terms of sleep, because all of us that sit on the committee, the next day we have to go to work, get up and respond to the job that we're paid to do full time, that keeps a roof over our heads and food on the table. And it was absolutely exhausting. I couldn't believe the experience. It's something I never want to go through ever again. And if it ever came close to happening like that, I would do whatever I could to stop it, because it was just the most insane thing. So with that as the backdrop, unfortunately, this whole thing got derailed. And I would like to get it back on track. I don't know when that's going to be. I will certainly talk with administration. But Councilor Ronan is correct. When I asked for the resumes, I thought it was a reasonable request. It wasn't I got you, now I'll get those resumes. It was, and I really thought we were going to get him, and then it turned into a back and forth and back and forth. The line was drawn in the sand, the newspaper got a hold of it, and it turned into the situation it's turned into. Now, Tom Watkins, it appears, and I knew this way early on, had the votes and the support of members of this council to get confirmed. Whether he would get all of them or not is an entirely different matter. But that's not the issue. The issue is, we as a committee asked for something. And every time the mayor stands in front of us, she says, whatever you want, just ask. We'll give it to you, whatever information. So I asked for it, and it's like, no. And we had this stalemate that went on in the committee. Councilor Pelletier, I know, was there, where she stood up, and we asked for the resumes, and she said, no, you're not going to get them. And that was the end of it. So I'm doing this on behalf of the taxpayer to make sure that we do our job. We have a responsibility to do this, not just to rubber stamp, to be as thorough as we feel we have. Some things we feel we don't have to be thorough on. And we look at things, and it looks like it's in order, it looks like it's a good thing, it looks like it's a standard thing, and then we approve it and we move on. And we do that for appointments all the time. We look at the resume, we look at the person, say, yeah, it's a great candidate. But every once in a while, there's something that comes up that we want to ask questions or do something different. Why can't we depart from what we've done the last 20 years or 30 years, on the council? Why does it always have to be that way? Why can't we ask for something a little bit different and then, do our job and do it as effectively as we possibly can and then move the thing along? I have no intention of embarrassing Tom Watkins. I think everyone on this council likes Tom Watkins. I've always had a pleasant exchange with him. I don't think there's a negative thing you could possibly say about the guy. But that's not the issue. The issue is we've asked for something, we haven't gotten it, and so here we are. And unfortunately, like I said, with the backdrop and the ending of the budget, it's just completely depleted me, and I know it's depleted the committee. So I'm not sure what Councilor Fury's talking about, missed opportunities, but, the committee did its work with the budget. It's completely spent.
Move the question.
Council Lovely.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, wasn't going to say too much, and I'll keep my remarks short. But this was referred to committee on April 8th, and you didn't get the budget until the third week in June. So there was plenty of time. And I don't understand what makes you people any better than me. I walked over there and I looked at the resumes because of the sensitivity of them. The mayor didn't say no. She asked if this council could go over to Human Resources and look at them. I did. I think there were other members that did as well. Why can I take time out of my busy schedule? I have a family, I work full-time, and I do this job. I can go over there, take 10 minutes or 15 minutes out of my day to do it, and other people can't, and you're going to sit there? Oh yeah, you're right. The line's been drawn in the sand, and not by the administration, by members of this city council. And I think it's disgusting. I've been on this council for 13 years. I've never seen anything like this. I think it's wrong. You don't think Tom Watkins is embarrassed? Oh yes, he is, because of what's happening in this chamber. It's disgusting.
Council Pelletier.
Council Lovely's right on all fronts. But the meeting I was talking about, when Tom Watkins, Lisa Camerata, the night you wanted to go in executive session, which there's strict rules about going in executive session, and taking resumes in there is not one of them. So it wasn't appropriate to take those resumes. That night, we could have all walked across the street. I already been there. But that night, you could have walked across the street and gone them. There was no stonewalling, Counselor. Anytime Lisa Camerata would have stayed late and wanted to go at night. Councilor Lovely and I had no problem. Okay, we're freer during the day than maybe you guys are, you folks are, but you weren't stonewalled. You could go there anytime, day or night. And I talked to Tom Watkins, and he's having a hard time doing his job right now because he thinks the council is disrespecting him. And I feel bad for him, because he's got the education. And it should have come out long before this. It shouldn't even have come down to this, Mr. President. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to say again, what the chairperson said to Councilor O'Keefe, all right? He gave his word, and now he's blaming it on the budget when the meeting was before the budget, okay?
Move the question, Mr. President.
Move the question, Mr. President.
John, Council Fury, you had your hand up.
All set.
You're all set. Counselor O'Keefe is
Move the
asked...
clerk call the roll, Mr. President.
Counselor, if you allow me to finish, I'll make sure that everyone understands what we're going to vote on. If I could be indulged in that, please. Counselor O'Keefe has asked for that we discharge Mr. Watkins' appointment from the Committee on Administration and Finance, co-posted to the Committee on the Whole. A yea vote will discharge Mr. Watkins from committee. A nay vote will keep him in committee. Is everyone under agreement of what the vote, how we're voting?
Repeat that.
A yea is to discharge. A nay is to keep him in committee. We all under agreement? Madam City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Counselor Fury?
Yes.
Counselor Lovely?
Yes.
Counselor O'Keefe?
Yay.
Counselor Pelletier?
Yay.
Counselor Pinto?
No.
Counselor Prevey?
No.
Counselor Ronan?
No.
Counselor Ryan?
No.
Counselor Sargent?
No.
Counselor Sosnowski?
No.
Counselor McCarthy?
Present. Matter of discharging from Committee on Administration and Finance, co-posted to the Committee of the Whole, the appointment of Tom Watkins as purchasing agent. We have 11 members voting, 4 in the affirmative, 6 in the negative, 1 present. The matter stays in committee.
One person's privilege, Mr. President.
I'll indulge you briefly, Counselor.
Yes, please. I would appreciate from the Chairman of Administration and Finance to set a set date for all of us to have in mind to conclude this issue that's been before us since April. I would like a set date in writing so people listening to us, the press will know when this appointment is coming before the City Council. So I am deeply disappointed. My years of service in the City Council and the School Committee, this has been inappropriately handled. I want a set date as a point of personal privilege, and I expect that.
Counsel, you don't need to address. Unfortunately, Counsel, I understand what you're saying, but there's nothing in front of us that would allow us to force the committee chair to set a date. So I will leave it up to the will of the committee chair to move this forward. It has been a long time coming, and I will trust on his behalf that he shall do this.
But we've had 2 dates already set,
No.
been broken.
It's out of order.
Counselor? Are there any other motions, orders, or resolutions? Counsel Lovely.
Mr. President, City of Salem, City Council, July 15, 2010. Ordered that the City Council accept the generous donation of a custom-made oak podium from Dion's Cabinetry, 8 Proctor Street, Salem, to be used in the City Council chambers, and that the matter be referred to the Committee on Ordinance, License, and Legal Affairs.
Under discussion?
Thank you, Mr. President. This is actually through the efforts of the Mack Park Neighborhood Association, Councilor Prevey, Ward 6 Councilor, whose association that sits in, specifically Beverly McSwiggan and Rosemary O'Connor, who spearheaded this effort to look for a podium for this chamber. Because when people come and speak, they stand at the microphone, or sometimes there's not a microphone there. And sometimes people have papers. They want to be able to put their papers down. They want to be able to feel comfortable with something in front of them. It's something that I've been asked, I can't tell you countless times. Could the City Council get a podium? Could the City Council get a podium? There's one over in, I believe, over in the Planning Department, for different hearings over there. And so these 2 ladies, through their association, approached, I believe his name is John Dion of Dion's Cabinetry. And he actually submitted a proposal, and let me read it. It says, I, John Dion of Dion's Cabinetry, will construct and donate an oak lectern, podium, to the City of Salem for the City Council chambers. And the estimate of completion is September 20th, 2010. All labor and materials will be donated. No balance or reimbursement due. Now, I do have attached to this proposal samples of what podiums look like. Mr. Dion will come in. It will be constructed of oak. He will come in and he will match it to the color of the desks, because it's important that it blend nicely with the very historic furniture that is in this room. So I want to thank Mac Park Association, through Neighborhood Association, through Beverly and Rosemary, Councilor Prevey, also Councilor Ryan, since I believe it's Proctor Street, which is Ward 4, is that correct? And I would hope that my colleagues would give this 100% support and allow Mr. Dion to do his craftsmanship to craft us our very own podium, so that when people come, they can feel comfortable speaking to us. Thank you.
Council Preview.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank Councilor Lovely for bringing that in, and also thank Mr. Dion, obviously, for his generous donation, as well as Beverly McSwiggan and Rosemary O'Connor of the most wonderful neighborhood association in the entire city, of course. They do fantastic work, and obviously this is a clear example of the type of work that they do, realizing with so many public hearings that we have and so many members of the public that come here, as Councilor Lovely points out, they bring papers, sometimes they speak. People feel awkward if they don't have something in front of them when they do talk publicly, especially if they're not accustomed to talking in public, and I think it really kind of helps. And one of the things, I think if we look at other city councils, in other cities throughout Massachusetts and really around the country, all of them have podiums. They all have some type of public podium in which the public can come up in front of, either Board of Selectmen or City Council, no matter what city or town, so the public can address and be organized and have papers. So I think it's a tremendous thing, and it's one of these things that obviously long overdue, and I'm so glad that the folks with Mac Park Neighborhood Association were able to find such a generous donation for Mr. Dion. That's certainly a small testament to the tremendous work that they do in finding people like Mr. Dion. So I think it's a wonderful thing. I want to thank them and thank Mr. Dion.
Councilor O'Keefe, then Councilor Pelletier.
Mr. President, members of the council, I think it's a wonderful idea, Councilor Prevey and Councilor Lovely. But I would suggest that when we have this gentleman talk to us, that it'll say Salem, City of Salem City Council, appropriately, like the school committee has, and like the high school has. They have the lectern at graduation. They have a nice, it says Salem High City seal on it, so when the television cameras are there focused, you'll see what it is. So we could discuss that with Beverly and the committee and Councilor Prevey and Councilor Lovely.
Thank you, Council. Councilor Pelletier, then Councilor Ryan, then Councilor Lovely.
Yeah, Councilor O'Keefe took the wind out of my sail. I was going to suggest a city seal, and thank the Mac Park Association. But I think you should have a city seal on yours, too. It used to be
I
one.
think they're going to put one on my forehead. Councilor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was also talking that it should have the city seal, like Councilor O'Keefe, but also I'd like to thank the gentleman for offering to build this and donate to the city, and then maybe the city council could also get like a PA system or something, so sometimes, not as much here, but there's a lot of people here, so you can hear what's going on. People think that that microphone like amplifies. It doesn't. It's just for SATV, so they can hear it on TV. I don't know if there's some way we can get like a PA system, or it'll be too loud. But I just want to thank. But I go to plenty of meetings like you, and we go to the school committee, and they have the podium. Everyone has a podium except for us, so well, good to have it.
Councilor Lovely, then Councilor Ronan.
I've just failed to mention the value of this. It's a $1,500 value, so it really is quite a donation, and once it's constructed and bring it in, we'll have some type of formal acceptance from Mr. Dion, and maybe have something written up in the newspaper, because it really will deserve that type of accolade. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Ronan.
Mr. President, I too want to thank Mr. Dion because it's not just the value of the podium. Obviously, it takes a long time to construct, something that'd be nice enough for our chambers. And I've often admired the desks that we have, the round tables that are behind us. I'm hoping that Mr. Dion will come in here because he's suggested that this be made of oak, where all of our other furniture is mahogany. So I don't know. I mean, obviously you can stain it up to look like it's mahogany, but that's something that would be nice if we could make it out of mahogany as opposed to oak.
It's nice to know that the Ward 5 councilor knows his woods. I knew that, but thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on the Councilor Lovely's recommendation, this matter go to the Committee on the Committee of License Order and Legal Affairs. All those in favor? All those opposed? Further motion, orders, and resolutions. Going once, gone. Committee reports. Councilor Lovely.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem.
Ladies.
Yes, thank you. City of Salem City Council, July 15, 2010. The Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs, to whom is referred the matter of a hearing request on the denial of a taxi operator license by Todd Danowski, has considered said matter and would recommend denial.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor, all those opposed? On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion?
No discussion, Mr. President.
On seeing any further discussion, seeing none. On adoption of the recommendation, all those in favor, all those opposed? Council Lovely.
Thanks, Mr. President. This is City Council, City of Salem, July 15, 2010. The Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs, to whom is referred Council Order Number 73 with regard to the Salem Common Ordinance revisions, has considered said matter and would recommend a positive recommendation to the full City Council.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor, all those opposed? On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to actually turn this over to Councilor Sosnowski, but the councilors should have the revisions on their desk. I left a copy for everyone, and if Councilor Sosnowski would discuss how we got to where we are. Thank you.
Councilor Sosnowski.
Thank you, Mr. President. This has been a long process, and I do thank, first of all, the chair of the committee, but I also want to thank the working group, which was formed by Dr. Patrick Curtin, Mary Ann Curtin, Mike Coleman, and myself. And what we've done here in discussion here, to make it fairly brief considering the hour, is a lot of the issues coming up the past couple of years prompted us to look at the ordinances relative to the Salem Common, toward which we found out that a lot of things had actually expired through various reasons. What we did was we took most of the action of the old council's recommendations, first of all from 1988 and then from 2003, and again with a lot of grateful help from the city clerk providing a lot of history here to what we had to do. Toward that end, we came up with the first draft of what should be done in the Common. Most of this was not reinventing the wheel. Most of this was taking 1988's thoughts, 2003's thoughts, and almost in a recodification fashion, putting it all together in an easily read format. Toward that end, we also wanted to update it, though, because in 1988 we didn't have the vehicular traffic that we have now. We didn't have alcohol requests, etc. And there was a lot of discussion going back and forth on a lot of these things. Toward that end, after we had the first draft done, we went to the I went to the Park and Rec Commission along with, I think, Councilor Pinto was there at the time as the liaison to the Park and Rec Commission. And we had quite a discussion. Some of it was a little contentious, but at the end of the day, when it was all said and done, a lot of what they asked for, we've actually implemented in what the final report has to say here. What we have is the amendments to the existing ordinance before everybody here. And without getting into the details, basically, the only serious changes here are there is no alcohol use on the common without the approval of the whole city council. Right? We did not go further than that. During these discussions, I introduced a second council order into the committee requiring the study of the law of section 24-19, which was the use of alcohol on public ways. We're going to hold on to that right now because there's some situations that have arisen that we need to address on that. Relative to the alcohol in the common, right now the committee that was there unanimously agreed that we're not going to outlaw the use of alcohol in the common, but what we are going to do is say that when it happens, it needs the approval of all of the whole council. The second major piece here that we were addressing was the vehicles on the common. That is another area that we think we have a pretty decent handle on, and we have that pretty much under control by way of the permits here. The last area was what should be allowed in signage and what should not be allowed with signage. And basically what happened here during the last meeting we had just 2 days ago, we had Sergeant Harry Roachville from the Community Impact Unit here, and he gave his recommendations to our city solicitor, who actually added those things in the prohibited columns. And much of this was, again, with the help of the city solicitor and with Sergeant Roachville from the police department, we added certain things in here like basketball playing after 10 p.m. All right, that had never been a prohibited ordinance. That had always been just something that was on the sign. No disturbing the peace, no loitering after certain times. And in one prior meeting, I remember a couple of months ago, we had a conversation with Councilor Ronan and said, well, I don't want to have that law there because what happens if I want to go downtown and have a meal with my wife and then go for a little stroll through the common after 10 o'clock at night? The way it's worded, that has been addressed, because this absolutely has no bearing on that, and anybody that would like to go for a moonlight stroll is more than welcome to go through there. It just gives, according to the police, it gives them the discretion and the tools they need to help protect, the entire common, which is one of our treasures that are just amazing. If anybody has any questions on the particulars, I will certainly answer them, but I mean, if you want me, I don't know that given the late hour of the evening, you want me to go through line by line at this point. All right? Mr. President, what would you like me to do?
Before I recognize Council Pelletier, so I don't have to step down, I have one brief question. You define the approval of the council. Will you define, is it a simple majority or is it a majority? Is it an 8?
Simple majority was what would be required for
Be a
use of alcohol on the common.
6-5.
6-5. 6 yeas.
Thank you. Because that's the only thing I read. I mean, obviously, without going through it line by line, that was when you referenced approval by this body. I just want to know what the approval number was. Thank you.
Right. The other part here, just briefly to mention here, we were going to pretty much outlaw alcohol without council approval in all public places. However, that would also have included places like Camp Nomkeg and Winter Island. It's odd that those two places that do that are also not parks.
Correct.
All right. However, they issue in the order of 50 to 100 permits for the use of Camp Nomkeg per season. And this city council does not need to add another layer of bureaucracy to that in that area. Let that happen. Let the Park and Rec Commission do that. All right. However, I would like to see it, for example, that particular ordinance is going to remain in committee for review. I would like your input on that, because are you aware of all the things that happen in Ward 1, for example, when those are going on? All right, you and Councilor Pinto, living in Ward 1, would be the ones getting the phone calls for that one. However, I mean, there was a lot of really good comment here, and with the exception of the alcohol, which the Park and Rec Commission thinks that they should still control, all right, everything else here pretty much is with their blessings, right? And that's the one exception that I believe that they still don't agree with, but I mean, we respectfully agree to disagree in that area.
Thank you, Council.
That would be the report. Thank you.
Council Pelletier.
Yes, thank you. I want to commend the Ward 2 councilor. He did a great job. When we went through this for the final version, what was it, Tuesday night?
Tuesday night.
It was very concise. I mean, it was a lot of work for the working group, Park and Rec. Everybody sat in on it. And we finally got a comprehensive, not made in 1998, and it was so convoluted, just like our zoning book was, and we got that pretty much done. But the councilor spent a lot of time, and he deserves a lot of credit to get this through. And when the alcohol come up, we're elected officials, and we're going to be getting the calls if, like the bike race, if there's going to be alcohol there. We're going to get the calls, not the Park and Rec Commission, the councilors. So we think people off coming to us. And like you said, there'll be further amending the ordinance on that, on parks and all that, but that's got to go a little further. But thank you, Council. You did a great job. And to Council Ronan, as long as you don't sit on the swings, you continue walking, you won't be caught for loitering.
Council Pinto.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, I rise in support of this. I actually sat with Councilor Sosnowski. We had a very extended meeting in front of the Park and Rec, him and I. Put a lot of work into this, Councilor. Thank you. I wholeheartedly support it. I'm glad it's clarified, because there was a lot of confusion going on. I know there were some members of the Park and Rec that aren't happy, but you can't please all the people all the time. So, Counselor, thank you, and I do support this. Thank you.
Council Sosnowski.
Yeah, just briefly, Mr. President, I want to thank Councilor Lovely as well for chairing the committee meetings. I mean, you put a lot of semblance here into what was your being a veteran of the council, put a lot of time in helping to organize and put us in the right direction so we didn't spin our wheels an awful lot, and I want to thank you as well. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none. Does this have to go for a roll call vote, or are we just...
It's first passage.
First passage? On acceptance of Council Lovely's report for first passage with regard to the ordinance regard to the common. Is that a roll call vote, Cheryl?
No.
No. All's in favor? All's opposed? Thank you. Further committee reports, Council Lovely.
Last one.
Thank you.
In City Council, City of Salem, July 15, 2010, the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs, to whom is referred Council Order Number 242, Chapter 24, Section 29-19A, relative to drinking alcoholic beverages on public ways and in public places. Committee has considered the matter and would recommend the matter remain in committee.
On acceptance of the report, all is in favor, all is opposed. On adoption of the recommendation, on discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Actually, Council Sosnowski alluded to that. This was another area that we now need to take another look at, but we did want to put it in place for the common, but we'll have it remain in committee. We'll invite Park and Rec back in September, and we'll start to discuss what happens in other parks and in the city, public places. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none. On adoption of the recommendation, all is in favor, all is opposed. Councilor Prevey, no reports. No reports. Any further committee reports? Look at that. Communications from city officials.
We have an order submitted by the solicitor that the city council authorizes the assistant city solicitor to settle a lawsuit related to the so-called Beatty site for the sum of not to exceed the $27,000.
Councilor Prevey?
We
Finance?
adopted that, didn't we?
No, we
That was the money.
transferred the money into the account. This is to allow him to do it.
Oh. Move that the city, well,
Move for adoption.
move for adoption by roll call vote.
On Councilor Preview's recommendation for adoption by roll call votes, 3 hands. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam City Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Council Fury?
Yes.
Council Lovely?
Yes.
Council O'Keefe?
Yes.
Council Pelletier?
Yes.
Council Pinto?
Yes.
Council Prevey?
Yes.
Council Ronan?
Yes.
Council Ryan?
Yes.
Council Sargent?
Yes.
Council Sosnowski?
Yes.
Council McCarthy?
Yes. On adoption of the order to allow the city solicitor to authorize the city solicitor to settle a lawsuit for an amount not to exceed $27,000, 11 members voting, 11 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The matter carries. Further communications to city officials.
We have an order submitted by the solicitor that the city council adopts the attached criteria for a request for a home rule petition for an additional liquor license.
Is that correct?
Every 3 hands. I'll go with, actually, because I know Councilor Sargent sat on that, I'll let Councilor Sargent to go first.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to recommend that it goes to committee, but I'd like to talk about it a little bit first. This is something we brought in, I brought in about a year or so ago when we're starting to give out a lot of home rule petitions, and there wasn't any real criteria for them. And they could go almost anywhere in the city. And we decided, I think with the licensing board's request, we decided to pull them in a little bit. And there was a moratorium put on them. Seasonal ones and these full-time ones. With the intent from the administration and the council itself to make the downtown a little bit more vibrant, we're giving these out. So we used that criteria. And one of them is that they have to be in the B5 district. And I think it's worked in the fact that we've created that, what I call a Hanover Square effect. Our downtown and our restaurants are a lot like Hanover Street in the North End now, where It used to be people would come to Salem and they would be going to a certain restaurant, and that's of course good. But now we have an effect, like in Boston and the North End, where people are coming to Salem just to dine. They don't have a certain restaurant in effect because they know there's so many good ones here that they'll find one when they get here. And that's even more successful. So with that in mind, this criteria was put into place, and I feel pretty good about it, but I still think that the council needs to take a look at it, have it go through the process, have the councilors who are on the committee look at it, just to make sure there isn't something that we need to tweak. I mean, look what Councilor Ronan found out was something that we spent years doing a rezoning codification on, and we missed. And you know, with the fire at his heels, he was able to move fast and make a change in that, and we're grateful for that. Well, this thing here could have something like that also, and I think when you have 11 people and the public take a look at it, we've given it our best shot after that. So I'd like to see it go to what I believe should be Legal Affairs Committee, co-posted with Committee of the Whole, and we put it through the process, and I think in the end we'll have a good document. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Councilor O'Keefe.
I was, Mr. President, members of the council, I was going to move tonight, number 1 is to add a couple of words. The applicant holds a seasonal liquor license at an existing business location, period. Now, when our committee looked at this matter 2 years ago, or a year ago, when I went down to take a photograph, digital image of one of the locations, it was nothing but a vacant lot with a tree on it on Front Street. So, I mean, you got to put this, is this going to be a home rule petition for a liquor license? Is there a building there? And there was no building. It was a tree and a grass on Front Street. And I think, first of all, let's make sure that it's an existing building. It's there. You just don't walk around with this license we're going to give people. Right? Some of our colleagues weren't on there when this came up, but respectfully, tie it in that there's a building, that this is going, existing location, visible location, not a tree on a corner of a vacant lot.
Mr. President, he'll have the chance in committee to amend that.
Thank you, Mr. President. I know this has to go before the licensing board before it comes to us. I believe that's one of the steps that occurs. So I'm sure they'll figure out where the trees are and what buildings exist on it. But I think this is good, and we obviously should see about adding to it or maybe modifying or making amendments to it to kind of suit our purposes and make sure that it's something that's appropriate that we want to adopt. I know the last few home rule petition liquor licenses that came through this council, I voted against them. And I voted against them for the sole reason that we had no standards. We had no guidelines whatsoever. It was just show up at the mayor's doorstep, and if she liked the plan, then something was submitted to the council, and then it got voted on. And I just didn't like that, especially when historically what people were told, restaurateurs that wanted to open up a business, they were told, well, you're going to have to wait. We'll give you maybe a seasonal license, but you're going to have to wait it out until a liquor license becomes available. Then you'll have to go through the process of purchasing it and having it transferred to you and so on and so forth. And it seems that, you know, we went through I want to say a rash because it makes it sound like it's a negative thing, because I know it's for a positive thing, but we went through a series of them where they just kind of came in one after the other, almost seemed like, and there was just really no, hey, if you had a great plan and the mayor liked it and, you know, we liked it, then, you know, you got your home rule petition. But I think with something like this in place, so people have to qualify for something, so it really kind of sets a criteria, and I think that's very important for something like this, because obviously we've exceeded the number of liquor licenses we've had. The restaurant business is booming certainly here in Salem, and I think that's a great thing because it makes for a vibrant downtown, so we should certainly encourage that to happen. So I can certainly support this. And so when the next liquor license comes forward and has these standards applied to it, I'm going to be more than happy to support that.
Mr. President, one more time, please.
Council Sergeant and then Council Sosnowski.
Just thank you for jogging my memory, because I do remember that process, and I remember how we started to get a little bit concerned. And through this whole process, one of my pet things that we put in the formal home rule petitions, that they not be transferable by location, and they not be transferable from one person to another. that any new location and any new owner had to reapply through the process. And I forgot to even ask to have those be put into the criteria. And that's exactly the reason why we put things in committee and we put all of our heads together. So let's let this go to Committee on Legal Affairs, co-post with Committee of the Whole, and hopefully everybody can make that meeting and we can really make this a better document. Thank you.
Councilor Sosnowski.
Thank you, Mr. President. I too was here for that meeting that Councilor Keith referred to about the applying for a license at a vacant lot. And I couldn't agree any more than tree. Excuse me?
A tree?
It was a tree, but actually what you'll see there now, if you go down there, there's always a pickup truck that drives over the curb and parks in that area right now. All right, that's another discussion. But one of the things we also addressed, and I'm looking forward to the discussions when this finally gets to committee here. There was another thing that came before us, I don't remember how many years ago, but there seems to be like 3 or 4 categories of license you can apply for. One of which was, maybe you may not, you can get a beer and wine, or a full license, but there's one in the middle. And that one in the middle was cordials. Now I'd like to know, I asked then, as I ask now, what's the difference between taking 3 Drambuis, which is a cordial, or 3 shots of whiskey? 3 Drambuis, you're going to need a wheelchair to take you home. Right? I would really like to know, why we're allowing those. And I mean, I understand there's state laws with this, right? And I understand that, but the city cannot be any less restrictive than the state. However, we can be more restrictive than the state. So I'd like to address that, the categories of the liquor licenses as well, and make sure we address that when it gets to committee. Because that was an issue that still, it doesn't sit right with me that we can allow cordials but not a full liquor license. And I just didn't understand that difference. And I still don't. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Councilor Sargent's recommendation that this matter be sent over to the Committee on Licensed Lawyers and Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole. All those in favor? All those opposed? Further communication from city officials. Actually, we already took this one up, correct?
Petitions.
You took that one up, thank you. Petitions.
We have a request from Salem State College to hold a road race and fun walk on Sunday, April 10, 2011 at 9 a.m.
Councilor O'Keefe.
Move that the petition of Salem State College be granted for April 10th, 2011.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor O'Keefe's recommendation this matter be granted. All those in favor? All those opposed? Further petitions.
We have a request from the Freemasons to reserve 4 parking spaces in front of 70 Washington Street for blood drives to be held on August 19, 2010 and December 15, 2010 from noon to 8:30 p.m.
Councilor Pelletier.
Move for approval.
Any further discussion? Seeing none. On Councilor Pelletier's motion for approval, all those in favor? All those opposed? Further petitions.
We have a request from the residents of Moffett Road to hold a block party on July 17, 2010 from 10 a.m. to midnight with a rain date of July 18, 2010.
Councilor O'Keefe.
Move that the petition of the Moffett Road residents be approved.
Do those come with invitations?
Yes.
Thank you.
Same as your day.
There you go. His council. Okay. Seeing no any further discussion, seeing none, on Councilor O'Keefe's recommendation, this matter be granted. All those in favor? All those opposed? Further petitions.
We have a request from the residents of Foster Street to hold a block party on August 14, 2010 from 1 p.m. to midnight with a rain date of August 15, 2010.
Councilor Prevey.
Mr. President?
I'm looking around, I'm like, where's Foster Street?
I saw you. I move that be granted.
Any further discussion?
Yes, and everyone's invited, so. And if you need directions, Mr. President, how to get to Foster Street, I'll certainly.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Prevey's recommendation, this matter be granted. All those in favor? All those opposed? Further petitions.
We have requests from the residents of Forester Street to hold a block party on September 11, 2010 from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. with a rain date of September 12, 2010.
Councilor Sosnowski.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that it be granted.
Any further discussion?
No discussion.
No discussion, seeing none. Any further discussion, seeing none, on Councilor Sosnowski's recommendation, this matter be granted. All those in favor? All those opposed? Petitions.
We have public guide licenses.
Councilor Lovely.
Move they be granted. Under discussion?
Under discussion.
Thank you. Actually, it's not what's written on the agenda, but because we're not meeting again for the rest of the summer, these would just remain in committee, and the clerk's office told me that they have reviewed all of these. They're all set to go, so I'd ask the council to grant them this evening.
Councilor Pelletier.
Further discussion? On these public guides, I would like to approve these. I have no problem approving these, but I'd like the Committee on Rules, License, and Legal Affairs. We're giving these away like water, like free water, and you got people coming in from Worcester, Boston, and they're walking around telling the history of Salem, a false history, no less. I'm out there all the time listening to them. So I think we should maybe create an ordinance and tighten this up a little bit, get Jim McAllister in here. And so these people, if we have tourists coming in, Madam Chair, we can take this up in committee, but I'd certainly like to take that up.
Are you suggesting some sort of test?
Well, something, yeah. I mean, if you're gonna bring people around and show them Salem, I want you to at least know Salem, you know?
Okay.
You wouldn't believe what I hear out there. All you gotta do is follow one of these groups. And they're making $10 a head, you know?
Okay.
Like, it's not the money part, but at least tell the truth. You know?
I'm sure the chair of the committee will take that under advisement. On Councilor Lovely's recommendation that these matters be granted, all those in favor, all those opposed? Further petitions?
We have limousine, taxi operators, vehicle for hire operators only licenses.
Councilor Lovely.
Move they be granted.
Councilor Lovely's recommendation these matters be granted, all those in favor, all those opposed? Further petitions?
We have one taxi operator.
Councilor Lovely.
Move it be denied.
Councilor Lovely's recommendation this matter be denied, all those in favor, all those opposed? Further petitions?
We have 3 claims and 1 subrogated claim.
Councilor Lovely.
Move they be referred to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs.
On Councilor Lovely's recommendation that these matters be moved to the Committee on License, Orders, and Legal Affairs, all those in favor, all those opposed? Further petitions?
We have 1 constable bond and 2 signed bonds.
Councilor Lovely.
Move they be referred to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs and return approved.
On Councilor Lovely's recommendation that these matters be referred to the Committee on License, Orders, and Legal Affairs and returned approved, all those in favor, all those opposed? Unfinished business.
We have second passage of a bond order appropriating $1,630,000 for various capital improvement projects.
Councilor Prevey.
Mr. President, I move for adoption for second and final passage by roll call vote.
Any discussion?
No discussion.
On Councilor Prevey's recommendation for second and final passage by roll call vote, Madam City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Counselor Fury?
Yes.
Counselor Lovely?
Yes.
Counselor O'Keefe?
Yes.
Counselor Pelletier?
Yes.
Counselor Pinto?
Yes.
Counselor Prevey?
Yes.
Counselor Ronan?
Yes.
Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
Counselor Sargent?
Yes.
Counselor Sisnowski?
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy?
Yes. Thank you. On the matter of second passage for a bond order for the amount of $1,630,000, we have 11 members voting, 11 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The matter carries. Councilor O'Keefe.
Move adjournment.
Councilor O'Keefe's motion for adjournment. All those in favor, all those opposed?